Okay, there we go. All right. Let's go ahead and get started here. Um, I want to welcome everyone. Thanks for joining today. I'm glad to see some familiar faces, maybe from just like 2 minutes ago. It's been a long time. I hope you all have been really well. It's good to see you all again. So today we're going to be navigating some of the basic functions of MyCourses, and you may have used an LMS before, but we'll be kind of looking at the specifics of our interface. And something that I haven't really done before, but I want to explore some ways that we can try to improve the user experience. So throughout the session today, I'm going to be talking briefly about some concepts of user experience and why it's important. Really, every interaction that we have on the internet uh, has some sort of UX design as a part of it. So really, all aspects of how the student interacts with the company, its services, and a product. So in the context of online learning and in person, UX really refers to how students interact with the course content and the LMS and kind of their overall learning environment. So I'm not going to get too much into it, but I'll try to just sort of weave it into the presentation a little bit. So looking at our objectives for today, we're going to cover four main areas. So that's going to be navigating the user interface, and organizing course content, monitoring student progress, staying connected with your students, and monitoring student progress. Um, so we'll look at the first one here. So we're going to look at the law of similarity. So this has to do with the dashboard and sort of the whole experience of when we log into the LMS. So using consistent icons and styles for different activities. So we can quickly recognize and understand them. So we can see that inherent in the first. So this is, I'm going to kind of put out each of these parts one by one of the LMS. So we up the top, there's it's messaging and course administration are key here. It's the most important things that we can. Messaging is part of the overall communication that we do, and the course administration and this admin gear. You can call it a lot of things. I think I just call it a gear, but that's where you're going to do most of the configuration of assignments and quizzes, and that menu is contextual. So you'll see course administration, and then you'll see if you're in a tool, you'll see that change, the options change. Your profile picture here under this menu, it's hard to see. There's a little chevron right there that you can drop down, and you can set your profile picture, your subscriptions, and MyCourses will take you to the dashboard, which looks like this right here. So I'll give you a heads up. We're going through an upgrade of the LMS within the next couple of days. I don't anticipate this to change, but it may look a little different in a couple of days. I'm not sure. Just to give you a heads up. So this is what it looks like as of today. So these are course cards, and the students will get this same view, more or less. So every course that you're enrolled in to teach will have your profile picture. There's a star that you can favorite. It will bring it up to the top. And over here is a live feed. So this pulls live data from the calendar. So it's one reason it's important to set due dates on all your assignments and quizzes and make sure everything is visible to the student in their calendar. And the student will see this same thing, but any feedback that they have, any messages that you've sent them, or it shows up here. So this feed here on the right, it gets really busy if you're teaching more than one course. So you'll just have to look at that to sort of keep up with the things you have to do. So just going on to organizing the course content. So it's important to emphasize simplicity. I mean, it really is a less is more thing, even if your course is like a chemistry course where there's just so much content and so much you have to cover. It's important that you sort of ease the student into that a little bit and focus on what's essential without them getting overwhelmed. And that has the law of pregnance is emphasizing simplicity and clarity to help users focus on essential elements without getting overwhelmed. So let me give you an example of that. So when we organize course content, we're talking about the module design, the table of contents on the left, something that makes the student feel welcome and oriented. So the course home is a really good place to start. And here's an example that I've been building with an EDU course. So we have a really simple banner up top that's custom made. And keep in mind, I will be glad to help you make any of these. Just reach out and kind of tell me what you need. Uh, so at the top, there's a custom banner. It will be so you can put a banner like this on every module, just to kind of give that consistent look and feel to it. Um, Below this, this is not really formatted anything fancy. So I just put the learning objectives of the course, and then expanding out at the end of this module, you'll be able to. And then probably the most important part of this are the graded activities, so the student knows exactly what they need to do that week and what's expected of them. And finally, the labels. And in my courses, it's changed to text and media area. Uh, Still the same thing. It looks like this, but you can actually categorize what you want the student to do under that group. So it's so you can have a read and watch section, or you can have graded activities or something to that effect. So and I'm going to get into a little bit more of that, of how you can organize that course content. So to that end, items within a boundary are perceived as a group and assumed to share some common characteristic or functionality. So with that in mind, let's look at the uploading of documents. So the documents, when it comes to uploading and organizing documents, you want to use descriptive and consistent file names. For example, you can use like course name, document type. So this is good on several levels. It's good for makes it easy for the students to find what they need, but it's also good modeling if your assignments require some kind of specific file name. So I know that with the CIS course I taught last year, every assignment needed to be named according to some kind of naming scheme. So it's a good idea if you wanted to model that when you upload documents. Oh, so you can actually organize multiple documents into folders. If you have multiple PowerPoints or a lot of PDFs that you want to keep organized, all those are available at the add activity at the bottom of the screen. And the drag and drop is really handy, because if you have a file on your desktop, you can just drag that directly into MyCourses, and it'll just upload it for you right there. There's not a complicated process for that. Here's an example of several documents that just so you can upload PDFs, Word documents. This is a folder that's full of PowerPoints, and you can upload spreadsheets to those. So as far as accessibility, now that's going to depend on the document itself. You can see this little speedometer here. So you can see it's orange. So there's some kind of a flag in there. Usually it's like images without a description, but accessibility, that's definitely a conversation for another day. It's very important, but just as far as managing your documents, that's just some techniques that you can use there. Video content. So that's a powerful tool. We all use video content, whether we're creating our own videos or if we're using resources. And there's a couple of ways that you can go about that. The teaching and learning, we have a studio channel that's just for this. We can create a playlist for you, and it allows for structured viewing. It's just better organization rather than sort of a link here, link there. If you link to the playlist on your in your course, then the student will always have the same list of videos available, and that's a good strategy to do. If you're making instructor videos, they can be uploaded directly to a module summary or added as a page or URL. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is an office terminology class. So I really like this design just because it's like a welcome mat. So you can see right here at the chapter 2, and actually all of them is right there. There's a video. So all you have to do is edit the summary of that topic and then just post the URL right in there. So it's really kind of welcoming, and it provides instant instructor presence right there. If it's a video that you're relying on more just as an ancillary thing or a resource, we would recommend putting it in a page. You can use the URL. The only downside I would say to that is it's going to take the student away from the course. It's going to open up a new tab. not the end of the world, not a bad thing, but if we can try to keep them in the LMS, I think that just makes their experience feel a little more unified. So I would recommend a page, but again, URL is going to take you to the same place. It works just as fine. Um, so just moving on, let's looking at the staying connected part of it. We're going to look at Jacob's law of maintain a consistent structure and format in all your messages and announcements. So this has to do with the communication tools that we have, and these are really the biggest ones right now. There are a lot of ways to sort of collaborate with your students through groups, and but if you communicate to your students through the LMS, this is a good way to do it. So the announcements, of course, are really built in. It's so they're created through the course home. So it's a type of forum that only works one way. So the students can't reply to announcements. It's really a best practice if you wanted to post at least one weekly announcement. If you have any important information, such as a due date has changed, or if it's an in-person class, if you have an announcement, if like a field trip or something, announcements are a really good way to do that, because it's what you call a forced subscription. The students will be emailed and they'll be notified through MyCourses in several ways. So keep that in mind. We have instructors who do several announcements a week, but I think that's up to you. Just use that as your discretion. The forum replies. So replying to forum. I know if you have discussion forums in your course, and you have maybe the rule where you have to post once and then reply to 2 students, and you have 30 students in the course, I realize that is next to impossible to reply to all those. But try to make every effort to reply to as many as you can. It's that type of interaction creates a lot of presence, and it makes the students feel welcome in the course. So just again, as just everything in moderation. And finally, we talked a little bit about the messaging tools. There's a chat window in the top of in the banner up top. So this is something you can either you can send a message to the entire class, or you can chat with individual students about it. So if you ever are looking to not email with your students, beyond some of the Blue Ridge tools like Watermark, you can use this because it is official communication. So if you ever have to document something, it's not a bad way to go. So finally, we're going on to monitoring student progress. So we'll look at the visibility of the system status. I know this sounds complicated. I'm sorry. It's just the laws. It's really not that complicated, but it just sounds that way. So design should always keep users informed about what's going on through appropriate feedback within a reasonable amount of time. And this kind of ties into what we were just talking about. But moving on to how we can, the gradebook is a really nuanced tool, and it's a little different for everyone. It's really going to depend on what is in your syllabus. That has to be the document that you pull everything else from. So as you're navigating through the gradebook, you pull out. Okay, so to access the gradebook, so you want to go to the admin gear on the upper right, and then go down to gradebook setup. So that's going to take you to this screen. And so you want to see this drop down. So really the biggest 2 options you want to look for are the gradebook setup and the grader report. And I'm going to show you a screenshot of each one of those. So the gradebook setup is where you can set up your categories, quizzes, assignments, participation, and you can set it up from there. You can also add grade items manually, but this is where that happens. In that, this is the grader report. It's fairly intuitive, except for this 12-mile spreadsheet that you have to scroll horizontally for. This is a huge pain, but I think it's as good as we can get right now. So virtually every assignment that you have, you'll just scroll over and you can see the documents there. I'm sorry, not the documents, the grades that the students have. And of course, you can select the first name letter and the last name letter to kind of refine that search. And finally, at activity completion. Now, this is a big one for the students. Because they get updated on the progress for the course, and just about everyone likes to know where they are in a course. So this provides them with a checkbox um, to each assignment. So if you enable this, the activity completion is going to be tracked. You can either do it automatically or manually based on these conditions. So in this drop down menu, you can have the student manually mark it as complete, or you have to show activity completed when certain conditions are satisfied. So just clicking on so if, for example, if it's a YouTube video and there's activity completion, they'll get a check once they click the video. That does not prove that they've watched that video. So it's still, by and large, it's still very passive, but it will give them the check mark. And then they must receive a grade to complete this activity. So all these work really well on assignments and quizzes. H5P, some of the more advanced tools, not so much. So it's just important that you pay attention to what you want to get out of uh, what you want the students to see. Um, so the one thing I'll mention about activity completion, if you ever have anything hidden in your course and there's activity and there are some of these settings are activated, it can obscure the progress of the student. So they'll say, well, I've done 9 things in the course and that's all there is, but it says I'm only 80% done with it or whatever. So it has so just make sure that if you hide anything in your course, make sure that activity completion is turned off. Um, uh, again, I don't want to make you an expert in a lot of this. I just want to get the conversation started. How we can help you in teaching and learning. We have a lot of resources, and I can meet you at any campus if you wanted to go. If you're teaching at TCC, I'm not really bound. Uh, so so just to wrap up, we covered how we navigate the user interface, we organize the course content, and how to stay connected with your students and monitoring student progress. So I think we're going to call it here and head back to the main room. And I think according to the schedule, we'll have some open the floor for any questions, which hopefully Sarah and I will be able to answer. So I'm going to stop sharing here. I appreciate your time and I'll just see you over in the other room again. Okay. So thanks everyone. Appreciate you.